And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry, and we're discussing the entirety of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Season 1. I'm assuming we'll get a Season 2 at some point. We know we're getting a movie, a new Captain America movie starring the Sam Wilson character, but I think they said they wanted to do a show. So I'm not sure how that's going to go. We'll discuss that here in a moment. If you're not hit the sub button or the bell, please do so. Leave a comment, a like. That helps push the video. And yeah, let's start with where do you want to start, man?
Well, let's start with the new Captain America suit and everything.
Captain America. Yes, I did quite like how the ending, instead of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Now, my question before we go into the costume and the fact that Sam Wilson is now, in fact, Captain America, is Bucky still the Winter Soldier? Because I had brought this up we had done some reviews of the show earlier, and I was like, that's not a good.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to keep that name.
Yeah, exactly. Can you still call him that? Because he was the Winter Soldier when he was a brainwashed, agent of Hydra, and and like even in the end credits, when they alluded to the fact that it's like, yes, Sam is your Captain America now. It was Captain America and the Winter Soldier instead of Captain America and Bucky or whatever Bucky wants to call himself now.
Because that's what I would have had that in tag. I would have said Captain America and Bucky, or Captain America and the White Wolf, if they legit want to go that route.
Right.
That's what I would have done. But yeah,
wouldn't that have been cheesy as hell if when he asked the Wakandans to make Sam's suit, he had him make him a White Wolf suit also?
Yeah, I mean, well, speaking of, so yeah, he's basically, it's like, hey, I need a favor. Can y'all make a costume for Sam? And they do. They make him a costume. I'm going to say the things I like and then the things I don't. Actually, you have plenty to say as far as things you don't like about it. The color scheme is perfect. I love the color scheme. Some people were saying there was too much of the white and the bright blue. I was like, no, that's what I want. I like how the wings have the blue streak in them. I love that. What I do not like, I don't think it fits him well in terms of, when I say fit, I mean the way the costume fits his body. It's odd. And two, I know it's comics accurate, but he needs a helmet. And I know he doesn't wear a helmet in the comics. I don't give a damn. He needs a helmet. And I don't like the whole goggles head, gambit thing going on. I just don't like it. He has no powers. If anyone needs to wear a helmet to protect their head, it's him.
It's the completely mortal human being that's acting as Captain America. 100% agree with that. And it's the sort of thing where it's like, why would you leave his head exposed when he's being punched by people who can, who are swinging steel beams and, like bending rebar and crap, and we're supposed to suspend belief when he's taking punches from these people to the face.
And I think you could do a really cool helmet. And I'm not saying you have to cover his whole face. It can be similar to what Steve Rogers wore.
Yeah, definitely. A good example would be what U.S. Agent has. Like this, how form-fitting that costume is, and the way that the helmet works and everything. That's roughly, like, I'm not saying it has to be the same style. Like you said, the color scheme and everything works. Like, my main problem is it's just so big and puffy, and it's just like it seems like a lot of padding. He looks like he's wearing those Halloween costumes of superheroes you used to wear when you were a kid. He looks like he should be holding a little orange jack-o'-lantern bucket.
I would have liked similar. I would have done a little bit more like what Spider-Man's costume looks like.
Yeah.
The fitting of it, because Anthony Mackie is in shape. The guy is in really good shape, so you can do that with him. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird that they didn't.
It's like, yeah, what did he pick up some pandemic weight? During the, and he's like, hey, you guys are gonna have to pad this suit. Like, I'm gonna need some artificial abs because the real ones are gone.
Yeah, like, no, he's in great shape, and so I'm like, I don't know why they did it the way that they did it. And I think they'll tweak it a little bit, especially if they're supposed to do a theatrical film at some point. Who knows when? But I think they'll tweak it. I really want the helmet. I need a helmet because, like I said, I know it's comics accurate, but even in the comic, I thought it was stupid. So that's something I would change.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't like how bulky it is, and like you said, the weird sort of gambit head thing he's wearing looks weird. And like other than that, it's fine. Just that needs to be less bulky, and he doesn't need that thing on his head.
Yeah, that's it. I'd keep the color scheme. I would keep all that, and I love the way the shield attaches and he can launch it and all that. That's cool.
Yeah,
I love the wings. Like I said, he's using the Wakanda tech, so the propulsion system is from their technology. All that works. I'm assuming that the wings are made of was it or my fake metal vibranium?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're made of that.
That was my assumption that they're made of that. That the suit is just kind of laced with vibranium. Which begs the question again. It's like, why is it so bulky? Because the Black Panther suit's not that bulky. So and this is Wakanda tech. It's But yeah, my assumption is like they're vibranium wings, which is a cool touch. The way they integrated the wings. I figure they would because we have that in the comic too.
Yeah. I'm gonna go into Zemo a little bit. Throughout, he was only really prominent in like 2 episodes. I thought he was great in those 2 episodes. I did have a few issues with how his story ended. I liked his costume. I liked everything about the character except specifically for the way it ended, because to me it felt like the writing felt a little cheap. Like they needed to put him in a situation where they could eventually, set it up for the Thunderbolts, and that's why he ended up where he ended up. But I'm specifically talking about, okay, we have Bucky comes to visit him. He drops the bullets. He's pointing a gun, but he drops the bullets. Like, okay, I'm not going to kill you. There was never any scene or line of dialogue that I remember where Bucky was like, "Yeah, I'm going to kill him" at the end. So I didn't understand the significance of that or why they did that. Secondly, the Wakanda sends their guards. They want to arrest him. I was completely on board with that. My assumption is they were going to try him or, have some kind of justice within Wakanda, maybe lock him up in some kind of special facility. Maybe they have a facility underground in their mines. I don't know. But I thought that the whole point of them coming was to take him to Wakanda for justice. I didn't think they would kill him, but I figured there was some kind of procedure, trial.
He'd stand trial or something. Like, and instead they're like, no, we're just going to take him back to the raft, which, you and I were talking earlier, and it's like that we were both taken aback by that, because like, you're just going to take him back to the raft? Like, well, what were you mad at Bucky about? Why shouldn't he why should he not return to Wakanda anytime soon? What's the bad thing he did? Because if you're just taking him back to the raft, because he let him out for 3 days for an investigation.
It made no sense. Why would they send him to the raft? Why would they send him to something S.H.I.E.L.D. is running? We've already seen the Avengers escape the raft. Fucking Hawkeye escaped the raft.
Yeah. If Hawkeye can escape the raft, Zemo can definitely escape the raft. And it doesn't make any sense. It would have made more sense if, like you said, if Wakanda took him. But instead, they decided, no, yeah, we're going to send him to the raft. Why the raft specifically? Well, yeah, like you said, we know why the raft, because we're getting a Thunderbolts show out of this. And yeah, for anyone who doesn't know or isn't familiar with the comics, we're getting Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad out of this.
There's supposedly rumors that they had shot scenes with Steve Rogers. They supposedly had shot a scene in which Zemo was recruited into like a Thunderbolts. Some of that was cut, and the reasoning is, remember, Black Widow was supposed to come out first, and so since things got reversed, I think they're saving that for the Black Widow film, including Lady Hydra, or was it Valentina? Character. Yeah. Like, that character came in. She had a couple moments. It's basically her setting up the U.S. agent stuff, but that character was supposed to be introduced before the show. I think it worked out. How do you feel about? She only has a couple scenes total. I don't know. What are your thoughts on her introduction and the U.S. agent? There's a lot to say about that, but specifically her.
Well, she fits that Marvel character type of what they like. They've found a winning comedy formula, and they stick with it. Like where she's, a little bit smug, and she's making a joke out of everything, and she just kind of fits that expected Marvel archetype, which, I don't think they need it as much as they need it, but it's a reliable crutch. It's a sturdy one, and it does work. The character's okay. But it is very standard Marvel.
I wanted you to be like, she's shit. She's horrible. No, I thought she was fine for what she was. Like she was supposed to be established before the show.
Well, yeah, she's not horrible, but she is basic. In Marvel standards, she's basic. Just this is basic Marvel. This is what they do. It's like, oh, this character that's more in the know than you comes in, cracks some jokes. Always has a smile on their face because they always have the upper hand. And I think we have those scenes cut because, not just because of her, but because, like chances are, in that scene, we're going to get Black Widow's sister, get an offer to join the Thunderbolts or something, or.
Yes.
That's my assumption at the least.
I want to say that's exactly what the rumor is, even that's part of it as well.
So that makes me wonder, like, what do you think? Do you think that this scene will be restored after that, or do you think it'll appear at the end credits of Black Widow now?
I think it'll be in Black Widow. Either that or they'll just, it'll be gone forever. But no, I think it'll be part of the Black Widow thing because to me, like the Shang-Chi stuff and the Eternal stuff, that's all has nothing to do with Black Widow. So I don't think there'll be any teasers for any of that in Black Widow. Remember, because like I said, the idea was you would go to the theater, you would see Black Widow, and then it would sort of lead into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And that ended up not, COVID changed things up. So that's not what happened. So I did read, so I don't know about the Shang-Chi film, but I do know I read the supposed leak script for Eternals. I'm not going to go into it here, but it has nothing to do with Black Widow. I can say that.
Yeah, and like any connection there would be that would be a leap anyway. Well, then again, they've made their own changes to the lore, so it's like who's to say? But that'd be an odd connection to make. As far as Shang-Chi, they could also have a Thunderbolts connection, like probably not a Black Widow connection. Then again, it is a martial arts competition.
They could.
So they could tie that. Like, but chances are you're going to get like Razor Fist or somebody get picked up and added to the Thunderbolts.
So let's talk a little bit about John Walker, U.S. agent. Were you shocked that they said they actually named him U.S. agent? I was a little surprised by that. I didn't think we would get an actual calling him U.S. agent. To me, the costume, I mean, it's perfect. It's, like I said, comic book accurate. I even like the fact that he had the firearm on the side.
Yeah.
He's back in the game. He has super soldier serum. My biggest gripe about the John Walker story, I thought for the most part, he had one of the best story arcs of the series. My biggest gripe and complaint, and the more I think about it, the more irritated I get, is killing off Battlestar.
Yeah. It feels pointless.
It feels absolutely pointless. And to be honest, a complete missed opportunity. I think that character would have brought a lot more to U.S. Agent going forward. They did it so that he would kill the guy, but who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, I really, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that was a mistake.
Well, yeah, and it could have been better. It could have been even better if he didn't. If they didn't kill Battlestar, if Battlestar was just knocked out or seemed to be dead, and he killed the guy, and then you have Battlestar, his best friend, even telling him, "You can't be Captain America, not after this." And it's a established Marvel character with with quite a bit of potential that just seems kind of wasted to bring in this character and to name him and let people know, hey, this character. But before you even see them, potentially do the things they do in the comic. We're going to go ahead and kill them off. It didn't serve the plot that much. It was a necessary sacrifice.
Lamar, the actor that played the part was perfect. I mean the casting was perfect. Even the two characters interacting was great. I thought those two had a lot of chemistry together as partners. When he died and you had the whole scene, where, he kills the guy with the shield. Yeah, it was a shocking moment and everything. And I get why they did it. But like you said, I think it would have been better if he thought he was dead and then went and killed somebody.
Yeah.
It's just, you introduce a character that would have been great and you took them out for no real reason. Yeah, I like I said, that it's something that didn't bother me as much when it happened, but the more I think about it and the more I think about where that U.S. agent's going and where these stories could go, the more I'm like, you fucked up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where, like I said, the character had a lot of potential, and there was a lot of and it seemed like part of the story was that, at least that's what I was getting from it early on, was that, and what we were seeing as the audience is that Lamar would have made a better Captain America than the person that they chose, and that would have served the story that they're trying to tell them, the lesson that they're trying to teach, with this series. Could have been a big part of it, but it's like, no, we kill him off as a means to set off U.S. agent and make him kill a guy to show that he's unworthy. And it would have been a neat twist too. Like, I'm not saying Lamar had to wind up Captain America, but just the fact that he was better for the role was never addressed, but it was clear, and I think it was clear just by their actions that who they selected was such a hot-headed guy and everything.
You could have had a moment where, like you said, I hate to say what they should have done, but you could have had a moment where, like you said, he thinks Lamar is dead. He's not. Lamar turns on him and is like, dude, you're out of control. You cannot be Cap. By the end of the show, remember when the whole final episode, when John Walker comes and is helping Bucky and everyone, and he makes the decision to help the people instead of going, after the Smashers.
Mm-hmm. What if it was Lamar that, yeah.
Well, let's say Lamar comes in and is involved in that. And the final shot when he comes out as a U.S. agent, Lamar is standing there in his new Battlestar gear. And he's like, are you with me? And he's like, always, they shake hands. And it's just one of those things where they reconnect and they're like, you know what? This is what we are. This is what we're doing. And they're this team, and you set up this whole idea of, okay, on the one hand, you've got Cap in White Wolf or Winter Soldier, whatever. And then you have the government version. You have U.S. Agent and Battlestar.
And Battlestar, yeah.
And it's the more I think about it, the more pissed I get. Like, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, why would you kill him off?
Well, yeah, it could have been one of those things, like you said, where John's losing it, and he's going after the Flag Smashers and stuff, and Lamar's prioritizing saving the civilians and everything, and John sees this and realizes that he's kind of on the wrong path. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It really that could have worked out really well for later in the series, and I think would have made for more of an organic transition, other than just being offered a different position by Val, which is a situation which we don't really see him address his anger issues. We just see him kind of going, realizing he messed up, not addressing it, deciding I'm going to be Captain America anyway, and making his own shield and everything.
The lesson he made his own shield, which was sort of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lesson he learned was don't get videoed.
Yeah. Don't get caught. I mean?
You don't get caught. Speaking of the Flag Smashers, it's going to sound like I'm just bitching about this whole show, and I'm not. There's things I like, and we'll get into more of the things that I like, but this is another sort of complaint. I think Carly was great in the role of Flag Smasher. I think the team dynamic was okay. Her cause made complete sense, and I like the idea of there being people who are sort of saying, you know what, things weren't so bad during the blip, and now things are getting shitty again. And I like that idea. That's sort of some, that's some interesting things to explore. Now, do I think the MCU is going to spend a whole lot of time digging into this. No, I don't. But I think it's an interesting idea. But unfortunately, the best part of the Flag Smashers was part of Sam's speech at the end. When he was giving the speech about, him becoming Captain America, and then he sits there and sort of takes Carly's side, sort of, and is explaining why she did what she did, why the Flag Smashers existed. To me, that was the highlight of their whole thing, because you killed all those characters off. And one of the moments was sort of comical because Zemo's butler kills like 6 people, ha ha ha. And then Carly's death was underwhelming, the way it played out. Yet again, I know it's odd I'm complaining about the killing off characters, but to me, a lot of it was just wasted. It was like you build these characters and you just sort of throw them away.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you think there was more room? Do you think Carly's a character that could have been saved for something down the line, or do you not have an issue with the way her story ended?
I kind of do, because like you said, when they blew up the van and everything, I kind of thought before that happened, I was like, oh, okay, so like one of those people will be like Carly was the original Flag Smasher, and the guy who survived, he'll be the next Flag Smasher, and we'll see him later in the series. I think there was a lot of wasted potential here. One thing I really dislike more than that though is the killing off of Bardock the Leaper.
I was so pissed. Yeah, go. I'll let you go, because you want to talk about. Here's a character that was featured prominently in, which was it, the Captain America: The Winter Soldier film. Who had amazing sequence. Then you bring him in this show. You have a great sequence at the very beginning of the series, and then you have him at the end, and you throw him away.
It's so weird. He's kind of iconic in the movies now, and he's a big part of the Captain America book. Like, he's the one Captain America is regularly at odds with, and you just shoot him in the head, and that's it. And it seems like a huge waste to kill off this character.
You took all these great characters that exist within, like you said, sort of, you think of it
the
in
extended Captain America universe.
Exactly. And you're just like, you kill them off.
Like, we lost Battlestar, we lost all of the Flag Smashers, we lost Bardock the Leaper, and I don't know why we lost Battlestar, unless you're going to bring him back temporarily as Nuke or something, unless we're getting that character. But it just seemed weird to bring him in the first place if you're going to kill him that fast, and all for setups that didn't really pay off that much. And I'm doing a lot of griping, but I really didn't hate the finale as much as the rest of the media seemingly did.
Yeah, a lot of people gave. I saw some really low scores with the final episode. I thought all in all, all the episodes combined, it was decent. I don't like scoring things directly, but if I was going to score it, it'd be like, it's a C. It's doable. It's fine. There were some moments that were absolutely fantastic and amazing, but I didn't love it. And to be fair, there's a lot of really great shows that we watch week in and week out. Things like Snowfall and City on a Hill. So I'm watching what I would consider grade A entertainment, and then I go watch this, and sometimes it's a little underwhelming. But in terms of the final episode, some people, I couldn't believe some of the scores. I was like, damn, like they gave, I guess, what you would consider an F. And I was like, no, that it wasn't that bad.
Well, yeah, because we talked about it afterwards, and I was asking, I was telling you because you hadn't watched it yet. I don't think and I was like, it was what we expected. Like, literally everything we expected to happen happened, and yeah, you can say that's a bad thing, but most people who aren't as familiar with the comics wouldn't have saw all this coming. It's just one of those things that it was very standard Marvel. It was very much by the book, that Marvel formula. And I don't know what people were expecting, because they've been going by that formula since the first few movies. So, it's like...
Yeah, the only, when you really dig into the MCU as a whole, there's only a few films that stick out as sort of like, wow, they really went for it. And I would say the Winter Soldier film, the Captain America Winter Soldier, was a little more edgy. Civil War had a few moments that were sort of real clever and sort of not as formulaic, and then obviously Infinity War. You know, you end the film where they lose, but then you turn around and do Endgame, where everybody comes back. So it worked for a year you know what I mean, in terms of storytelling. But for the most part, there is a very strict MCU formula. It's a very kid friendly, family friendly, wholesome entertainment. Nothing too scary, nothing too edgy, nothing too over the top. And I'm not complaining. It's fine. It is. Hell, I've seen every single MCU film in theaters except the second Ant-Man. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the only one I didn't see in theaters. Um, that's pretty crazy. I've seen every single MCU film in theaters except that one.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like I think the Ant-Man movies were Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, because I did see the original Ant-Man in theaters because you were there with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that might be the only one I didn't see in theaters also.
It's the only one. It's funny because I remember when it came out, I was like, and I love Paul Rudd, and I'll watch anything he's in, and I don't hate the Ant-Man character. It just, after the first Ant-Man movie, I was like, there was no point. There was no point to that movie. I didn't need to see it. And I think that's sort of what's happening with some of the critiques of Falcon and Winter Soldier is, by the time you get to the end credits of the final episode, and even through the end scenes, you sit back and say, what really happened that mattered? Because at the end of the day, when you get to the end of Endgame, Steve Rogers hands Sam the shield. Bucky is standing there. So in your mind, if you're a viewer who's never seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, last time you saw Sam, he was becoming Captain America and Bucky was his partner. Last time you saw Zemo, he was in prison. So you get to the end of this series, and what is it? Sam is Cap, Bucky is his partner, Zemo is in prison. You know what I mean? So in some ways, the Flag Smashers are completely dead. They're all gone. The serum is gone. You could arguably say you could skip this show and still not have really missed anything. And I think that's one of the issues that some viewers are having.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly what I think several months back said you were afraid of when they were doing their interview. Well, I forget who it was, but the people who plot the shows.
Kevin Feige had spoke about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Feige himself, and said that he wanted that the movies and shows were going to be, that they were going to try to keep that lore and everything separate but related. Like keep it their own thing. It's like, oh, okay, well then nothing will ever matter in the TV shows. And this one, like this show, pretty much proved it. It's like, okay, well, nothing big will happen. There will be no big sweeping change in the show. Like by the end of each season, everything's just going to reset, and it'll be like it was in the previous movie, no matter what. Like no matter what your conflict is, everything's gonna be set back to one by the end of every conflict. Like, so you don't have to go, oh, I wonder if Zemo's going to get out of this one. Like, no, he won't, because he's going to be right where he was at the beginning until the movies say otherwise. Like, I wonder what's going on with Agent 13. That doesn't matter because she's got so much going on that's unrelated to the movies. You'll never see her in a movie again.
And we never knew what happened to her. Yeah. So the fact that she's the power broker. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that could be explained in a line of dialogue. The only character that had sort of an arc that you can be like, okay, well, this character was completely introduced was U.S. Agent. But even then, if you really want to get technical, first of all, I don't think he's going to be prominent at all in the films. I think he's going to stick to the Disney Plus shows. But you could easily just be like, yeah, Sam is Cap, but the government has their new version of Cap, and it's U.S. Agent. One line of dialogue. It's. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. You're going to have like two sword agents walking and talking. And it's like, well, what about Captain America? Like, well, we've got our own Cap now, thanks to such and such. And, thanks to the team that Val put together.
Exactly.
They're going to hand wave it into a couple lines of that. And unless they can do that, it's not going to happen in the show, or it won't matter. Only things that they can quickly explain. But, I've got a feeling, though, that it's worse than that. That you'll never see or hear the U.S. agent mentioned in the movies. That the actress that plays Agent 13 has probably doomed herself to a life of television's appearances in the Marvel universe, because they're like, well, she's wrapped up in power broker stuff, and we don't want to touch on that yet. So, like, if at all, ever, like we just want that to be a TV thing.
The moment they blew up that truck, I was like, that was my moment where I was like, yeah, they killed all the flag smashers. I was like, they killed all of them.
Yeah.
No, it's like it's as if they never were. And what did they do anything significant in the show that impacted the world? No.
Nothing has changed. Nothing you're even going to hear about in the news, in the show or the movie. Like it's like I said, it's so clean you can brush it off as if it never happened. And that's the big problem with it. Other than that, it was very by the numbers Marvel.
We have the whole situation with here's a few little personal stories. You had the Bucky making amends. He has the little diary, and he's trying to right all the wrongs that he committed as the Winter Soldier. And one of them, there was a character that was introduced, I believe, in the first episode, an older man whose son had been killed by the Winter Soldier. Bucky wanted to tell him, but he didn't know how. So we get a scene in which he goes to close out the book by revealing it to the man. It was fine the way it was handled. They could have done a little more with it if they really wanted to, but my only complaint with it is I wouldn't have had like 3 episodes where the guy didn't appear.
Yeah,
because I swear to you, I forgot about that story. And as soon as Bucky goes to the dude, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing. That was part of the plot. So I would have, maybe the pacing or the way they put it in the episodes, I would have done something a little different with that. But in terms of the resolution of it, I like the fact that Bucky has moved on. He takes it to his therapist, gives her the book. I've completed it, and he's starting essentially the next chapter of his life. And I think there is a little bit of resolution there in terms of the character.
Yeah, it would have been great to see that friendship throughout the show. And for one, it would have been one of those things which would have made that scene have a lot more impact too. If it's like, like it would have hurt more to see it that he's revealing this fact about his son, that he killed his son, and he was the Winter Soldier, and etc. It would have had more of an impact if, like you said, we saw that guy more often instead of just seeing him in the first episode.
How did you feel about the resolution with I believe the character was Sarah, Sam's sister? I guess it had resolution, sort of. They decided to keep the boat. They called in. I guess this was an odd line. They're just like, oh, our parents were like, great in the community, and everybody loved them, and everybody owes them a favor, and they bring everybody in to fix the boat. That was the first and only time he'd ever mentioned his parents, or you know what I mean? It was yet again similar to the Bucky thing. It was, the story was there, but why wasn't it sort of throughout?
Yeah.
The matter of fact, there were episodes where I'd even forgotten that we were dealing with the boat. So I don't know. How did you feel? I like some of those scenes, especially where Bucky's talking to his sister and sort of flirting a little bit, and those were moments I enjoyed between Sam and Bucky. I thought those worked, but I don't know. I might have done a little more with his sister. I would have put her in the show a little bit more, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things where I've said, I've complained throughout the show, like, what is the purpose of this character? I wouldn't have had a problem with her being, in the show more if she was woven into the plot a little better. Like it's like you said, sometimes the boat is a big issue. Sometimes we're not talking about the boat at all in the series. Like, it feels like they could have wove a little bit more in there, honestly.
I think, yet again, going back to the whole idea of the flag smashers, the concept of what life was like during the blip. Mm-hmm. Their argument was that the world sort of came together and had become a better place, and now it's going back to what it was. She was in a situation where everybody blipped away except her and the kids. Mm-hmm. And so now she's got these financial situations. She's dealing with these kids. She's raising them. And so she went through a lot of, crazy shit during the blip. That should have been more of a focus. That should have been more of what we were digging into. I think there's a cool the whole idea of the fact that they kept the blip, uh, which I remember back in the day, I didn't think they would. I thought they would somehow erase it, that it ever happened. But they decided to keep it. And they've mentioned that it's impacted the world. But you need to show us more of that, because it is an interesting idea. And I think there are interesting stories to tell. I think one of the best scenes in the entirety of WandaVision was when Monica Rambeau came back and she's in the hospital. That scene is gold. That's one of the best scenes in the whole show, showing the consequences and the impact on people, and the confusion and the chaos. And I think that should have been explored a little bit more with Sarah.
Yeah, definitely. We saw that, like, they did a really good job in WandaVision of showing, how the blip affected people, the fact that, you were gone for 5 years and your whole world has changed, whether you've changed or not, and you haven't because you've been gone for 5 years, and the consequences thereof, like there's somebody else that has the job she expected to have, and her, like, her mother's dead when she gets back, and so much of her life has changed in such a big way. And like, we got a little taste of that with Sam, because like, he's coming home, but it just seems like and everything, but it was just about the boat. And like you said, for a lot of it, a lot of episodes, the boat was a non-issue. So, like, we didn't really dig that deep into what Sam had lost or what his fan, like, at that, they did make mentions, like, okay, he's not getting paid as an Avenger, really, and he doesn't have the money for this boat. So my question is, like, how is Sam eating?
That's a great point. Something that the show decided not to address in any way, because when that bank, I think I brought that up when we watched that episode, when the banker asked that question, I was like, that is a hell of a great question to ask. Why can't Sam just make a phone call to the Stark estate? Yeah, Stark's dead, but his wife's there, and he has worked with them. They can't give him a couple bucks.
Right.
It makes no sense. He is an Avenger. He helped fight. He fought in the battle against Thanos. He helped restore the world. You're telling me they can't throw him a few bucks?
Yeah, why did nobody pay the Avengers? Hawkeye's got a whole family.
Yeah,
did you tell me nobody paid the Avengers? They were just doing this for free.
And Sam he is a soldier and has government ties, and I don't know. It's something that the show just decided it didn't want to deal with.
Like Sam has no money. Why? Why does he have no money?
Speaking of things I didn't feel they wanted to deal with all that much, and Isaiah Bradley. Let's go into that. I am glad I never thought we would see that character on screen. So that was, like, wow, they introduced the character, the idea of sort of the first Cap. But by the end of it, a lot of what Isaiah Bradley was saying and doing in the show, to me, they took the wind out of it a little bit. They were building the idea that, he kept saying, how race was playing a role in everything that had been a part of his life in terms of super soldier program and all that stuff. But by the end of it, I don't know that the show proved that.
You're missing the moral, Brian. There never was any racism because Sam became Captain America, proving Isaiah Bradley wrong. And
that's the problem. The show kept talking about the race issue, but it never showed it. You need to show me. Isaiah Bradley was concerned about his identity coming out because he was afraid they would come take him out. Well, Sam puts him in. They build a statue of him.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay. So what point I'm asking? What is the messaging? I don't understand what Marvel and Disney is trying to say in terms of the messaging, because the MCU world does not feel like the world we live in at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, Um,
Well, and I thought you weaken it with him not being the first Captain America because he's not anymore. He's the Captain America of the 1950s now. He wasn't the first in this version. Like and then we have, like you said, the sort of weak and muddled message that they gave, where he's like, oh, America will never accept a black Captain America, and then Sam just puts on the costume, and it's like, and they immediately accept a black Captain America. So
and then
it's build a statue of
statue
Isaiah,
of Isaiah Bradley. Yeah,
even though his history was hidden and he was sort of in hiding in fear that they would experiment on him again, but all of a sudden that's no longer a concern. So yeah, it contradicted itself in some big ways.
it felt like they wanted to bring up race and deal with it, but they really didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like they're like, yeah, we want to, but we really don't. Because what I would have done is there needed to be scenes where at the beginning Sam wanted to be Cap, or maybe he didn't want to, but he felt, okay, Steve wants me to be Cap, I'll be Cap. And you should have had people legitimately be like, no, we don't want you, and openly say it, and show the racism, and then have a moment where they choose John Walker instead. But they didn't do that. And to me, like I said, the show wanted to do it, but then it didn't want to do it. Like I said, it's trying to play Disney. They're trying to play it. I guess play it safe.
It was bold for Disney, but that's not saying a whole lot. Like, but yeah, in fact, they didn't even have to openly say it, have anyone say it. They could have had people say it in the roundabout way that people say it sometimes, and it's they could have heavily insinuated, but they didn't even do that. So, it made the message kind of weak, which is part of the reason why I didn't really get why some people thought it was such a strong message in the first place. I mean, like you were saying, the speech that Sam gave, that was a pretty good speech, but outside of that, like you said, a big part of storytelling is show, don't tell, and you had to tell us.
I think I'd said this a week ago or a couple days ago, that I thought the series The Boys, did a better job of addressing racism and ideas of that, because you have characters on there that are 100% white supremacists. They're open about it. They say it. They do things. You have the whole plot line with A-Train, and the show's not afraid to tackle racism.
Yeah.
This show seemed like it's like, yeah, we want to do that, but we really don't want to do that. We're going to talk about it, but we're never going to show anything. And like I said, you get the weird messaging at the end where they make a statue and they're just like, no, everything's great. It's like, okay.
Yeah. The Boys definitely did a better job, and it's weird for The Boys to do a better job, but it feels like it did a better job there.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, the speech was good.
The speech was great. Like I said, every part of the speech was great. Shit, the our world needs to hear that speech. As I was listening to it, I was like, there's a lot of
relevant things.
There's a lot of relevancy here in this speech. Absolutely. We did and didn't get a tease for the Patriot. They were focusing on the he's there. But do you think that's going to be a character that's just purely Disney Plus?
Disney Plus, yeah. The entirety of the Young Avengers, Disney Plus. Like, I don't feel like they're getting a movie. They're all getting the TV setups and whatnot. So I feel like it feels like it's advertising for a new show as much as the whole Thunderbolts is and all these series. That we're gonna get Thunderbolts on TV or West Coast Avengers. We're gonna get. It's like, and we'll get Young Avengers. I thought we'd at least get the sort of TV or movie moment, which is it's heavy-handed, but it's expected, and you kind of want it in a way. You want some hint that he is the Patriot, So I thought we'd get a scene where Sam's practicing with the shield, and maybe he's a little too tired, and he kind of slips, and he catches it. You know, like in the kid who's playing Isaiah's grandson catches the shield. Yeah, hands it
No.
back to him, and you know, Sam's too tired to realize what that means. It's like, but you know, the audience gets it. Hopefully,
Yeah. That'd have been cool. We got I'm trying to remember all the shows this year. I think Miss Marvel is this year. Obviously, Loki's next. That's the next show in June. I guess Hawkeye is after that. Like Hawkeye's this year. I'm trying to think of what's shooting. Miss She-Hulk, I think, is shooting.
you know, I didn't even know there was going to be a Hawkeye.
Yeah, it's getting a show.
Hmm.
But it's going to be mostly Kate Bishop.
Oh, okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, the rumor is by the end of the film, he sort of bows out.
He's
And I
just
guess
going to go, you're Hawkeye now.
yeah, I think that's the rumor is that he'll give up the mantle, and there you go.
Well, there's your proof. There's your Young Avengers setup. We're gonna start at you know, Kate Bishop's story.
I think so. I think that's what they're going to do.
But it won't be Kate Bishop. It'll be Kate Barton or whatever. 'Cause she's like Clint's daughter in the movies, or at least that's what was insinuated.
I don't know.
Because his daughter's name is Kate.
That I'm not sure. So yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with this series?
Yeah, I think we covered everything related to the series. I'm like, honestly, related Marvel things, I could talk about that for another 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like, but as far as the show, I think we've covered it.
Are you? Oh, okay. This will be one of our last things I'll bring up. Why not? Fuck it. So the next series is Loki, and that comes out in I think June, because I believe what's the Star Wars cartoon? Bad Batch.
Yeah, that's the one.
That drops next week, and then that'll run, I guess, for like a month, and then Loki will hit after that. Are you more or less or so excited about it after seeing you? We've seen 2 entire Disney Plus MCU shows. You know, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've seen sort of how they do them, how they structure them, what they are. Now, do you think Loki will be on the same level? Do you think it has potential to be better? What are your views based on the trailers, based on how you feel about what we've seen so far?
I'm about as excited as I can be for a Marvel Universe-based quantum leap because, you know, that's what this is. None of the adventures are truly going to matter in the grand scheme of things, but it'll be its own fun thing because we're messing with the timeline, and they may be able to actually do something a little bolder, a little more daring, because it's like, well, that's timeline A and this is timeline B, and you know, like the Marvel Universe is in this main timeline, whereas Loki's show is in many timelines. You know, so we can do crazier things. We can have permanent losses, and you know, this bureau that Loki's working for that won't really touch the movies.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking of it in terms of like Doctor Who. We essentially have if the Master had a show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's sort of what this might be like. You know.
Well, in fact, it's that, and it's something else that I'm sure you know you may have realized it, and I think you above most people would likely be very hyped for this. You know, it may be because I mean technically this is Loki's role. This is what he is, seeing how he's not in his own universe. It may be your Exiles setup.
It seems based on the last trailer that this is completely an Exile setup. Yes. Which yet again, it's something you could do fun. You're pulling different characters, different places. You can play around with. You could take established characters, but bring in different versions of them. Like you said, you can kill off certain characters that you normally wouldn't because of this. So I agree that's something that it could eventually be.
Yeah, it could be it could be a fun show with actual consequences to some degree, you know, and it could be one of those things that you look forward to almost as much as The Mandalorian because they can take some risks.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm not like it's not my number one thing I'm looking forward to, but I'll definitely be watching it.
That would be the next season of Castlevania.
Yes, which is coming up very in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome. And we get Witcher later this year. Looking forward to that. Are you watching Bad Batch?
I'm definitely going to watch Bad Batch.
All right. I might watch the first. The first episode is going to be, I think it's like an hour and a half, like a film. And then every episode after that will be, shorter. I'll watch the first one and then we'll see if I keep watching or not. I don't know. But all right, I think I don't have anything else to say about Falcon or Winter Soldier. Who would you like the villain to be in the film?
Oh man, that's a good question. Next Cap film. God,
because we have confirmed that Sam is getting his own film.
Let's see if it's Sam. God, that's a hard one. We've done a lot of great ones, and it's like you can't be Zemo because we're doing Zemo for Thunderbolts, and you kind of want Zemo and Thunderbolts otherwise. Huh.
Plus, Zemo wouldn't give a shit about what Sam's doing, I don't think.
Yeah, not really. Honestly, it seems like he kind of likes Sam a little.
Yeah.
But God, it would be no, because they're not going to do that character right. They messed it up the first time. I was going to say Red Skull, but
Well, I'd like Sin.
Yeah.
But yet again, I don't know if they would do it.
Well, yeah, I was excluding all of those next generation, characters related to that. Next generation World War II characters or anything. I'd say would have to be like maybe a team of villains or something. Like maybe you get a God, what's the name of the doctor? He was like a psychologist and stuff. You get like an Arnold Zola and like some of those crew, because Arnold Zola, we saw him as like
he's dead though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's dead, but we saw him as like a supercomputer or something in one of the movies. If we get the actual Arnold Zola and some of that extended crew that Red Skull had that we saw in the Brubaker verse, and they were contracting the likes of Crossbones and whatnot, that might be a good villain. Just keep it very Captain America. Well, just like Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I'd like to see a fair amount of action and espionage, and just now. I was going to say grounded, but we're talking about superheroes and stuff. And when you get that many explosions, it's not grounded. But just basically like a superhero version of 24. Any villain that would keep us in that direction.
That's what I wanted the Falcon and Winter Soldier to be.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what we were looking for.
Yeah. But all right. I guess we'll leave it there. Yeah.
That works for me.
Thanks for listening, and check out our other stuff on the channel. Bye.